Few departments have more diverse procurement needs than Homeland Security. These days, the agency is operating on all fronts: natural disasters, immigration activity, cybersecurity, you name it. For how its procurement operations are keeping up, we turn to the Chief Procurement Officer, Paul Courtney. Paul, good to have you back.
Great to be back. Appreciate the offer. Always great to talk to you.
And, it's a funny time. There's going to be a change in administration, and then there's the usual congressional delay of regular appropriations. So I wanted to talk about what, aside from all that, your priorities are for operations and procurement in the coming year.
Great question, Tom. On the budget front, we know we'll likely be under continuing resolution for part, if not half, the year. So it is every year it's become the normal to get the appropriation later in the fiscal year. And it does present a challenge to the procurement workforce here at the department. And Tom, as you probably know, we have about 1,500 contracting officers, contract specialists in the department. So our goal in our office really is to help them navigate when we get these appropriations late, make sure the customers give the documents and requirements they need to the contracting offices, work with industry to make sure we have things lined up through our acquisition plan and forecast system, make sure that's all up to date as we begin each and every fiscal year. So this year is no different. We have several priorities we're working on this year within the department on the procurement front. One is to make sure that we continue to provide the latest tools that our procurement officers need. We are big on the AI side of things here, trying to continue to move that forward. And if I could, Tom, talk about a couple of the initiatives that we're working on, one on the AI front.
Sure.
I always consider DHS to be a leader in the procurement space. In this case, OMB reached out to us and NASA to co-chair their newly formed Chief AI Officer AI Procurement Working Group. So us and NASA are leading this group for government-wide. So again, this is a big deal, I feel, for not just DHS, but the whole of government. So the working group really is first focused on assessing existing policies, directives, and governance processes, really to identify those gaps as they pertain to AI-specific considerations in the procurement process, which continues to be a bigger and bigger deal. They're now developing some resources for the whole entire federal acquisition community. So that really is a big deal for us. And then in the department specifically, one of the big things we have going on this year is we just launched about 2 weeks ago what we're calling our Capsule Initiative. Similar back to 2015 when we launched the Procurement Innovation Lab, this is just a new tool to help our procurement workforce and the entire acquisition workforce manage, in this case, 9 FAR-based authorities. So CAPSULE stands for Champions for Alternative Procurements to Secure the Homeland. We love our acronyms in the government. So the bottom line is we have some 9 FAR-based authorities in the department, and some other agencies have them as well. And we want to make sure our workforce know what the authorities are, when to use them, and how to use them. So we've used them for a number of years, but I don't think we're using them as much as we can throughout the department. One such authority, for example, is called the Commercial Solutions Opening Pilot Program, or CSOP. Again, this is authority that we have. It kind of can reach out and get the non-government traditional companies that don't like doing business with the federal, or don't do business with the federal government very often, but it helps us obtain that cutting-edge technology we wouldn't be able to have otherwise. Right now, we have a few components that use it on a regular basis, but we really think there's a bigger need throughout the department. So we created this team to look at, to develop training, to train the workforce, and also really to just make sure our staff know how to use these authorities and use them appropriately as we go forward. So there's a couple of the big initiatives we have. The last thing I'll mention is a strategic plan we created a couple of years ago. Actually, it runs out this fiscal year, so we're looking at creating our new plan going forward for the next 4 or 5 years. About a month ago, we met with all the heads of contracting, 9 throughout the department. We had an offsite. We kind of really talked about what are their priorities and how can we feed their priorities into our priorities. And there were some consistent themes. That number one, this has been for years. We want to help our requirement owners to be able to develop their requirements and get them to us. And that sounds simple, but I've throughout my career I've always heard.
Sure.
We got the statement of work, but it needs a lot of work. So we want to have that as one of our priorities going forward. How do we help the program managers, program staff to help define the requirements in a sufficient way, working with industry to make sure we get the tools and services we need to support our mission.
Wow.
So there's just things, Tom, that we're working on.
That's quite a bit. We're speaking with Paul Courtney. He's the Chief Procurement Officer at Homeland Security. And I want to get back to the AI idea. Is there a sense that AI, artificial intelligence, can in some way improve the procurement process?
Oh, most definitely. I think a couple thoughts on that. Again, I don't think the department's alone on these thoughts. One is, we've been using some forms of AI for a number of years, and most of them do those tasks that take a lot of time, take a lot of effort, but really doesn't use a lot of brain power. Like doing for instance, I'll give an example for market research. If we're going to go out and look at, within the internet for information about a specific requirement we're trying to do, it could take a long time to do the search, pull it all together, and have that market research report, for lack of a better term, done. Well, you can use artificial intelligence to go find the information and bring it back to you. It still needs to be validated by a human, so it doesn't take away that part. But those types of things I think are extremely useful for our procurement workforce, and again, the entire acquisition workforce. Along with that, we like to use tools that other agencies have created. There's the Determination of Responsibility bot that the Army has created. DORA is the name of it. This helps, again, it does the hard work of pulling the documents together. It doesn't take a lot of brain power, but it takes a lot of work to pull documents together to make that determination. At the end of the day, it needs to be, a real live human making the determination. But if you can have the stuff at your fingertips, I think it makes our life a lot easier. Recently, we had a demonstration by our CIO's office, who has a phenomenal group of cyber professionals working all things AI. We had a demo on all the tools that are out there at our fingertips of our department employees to use. I'll mention one, ChatGPT. I'm not endorsing any of them, but just those generative AI tools that are out there now can also help our requirement owners develop their requirements. Like, it's amazing what the demo that we had by our professionals in the CI organization. I think it opened the eyes of a lot of our procurement professionals and what's in the realm of possibility. Lots of excitement about it. But again, we want to make sure that the person who's going to be signing the contract, or the person who's sending us the requirement, actually is heavily involved in it. It's not just doing, well, I'll have this generative AI tool do all the work, and I'll just send it over and send it to industry and everything's done. It's obviously not that easy, but I really think it's a game changer for us in the procurement workspace going forward.
Yeah, so you're going to be spending a lot of time this coming number of months in depth on that, sounds like.
Yes, Tom, that is true. We have one thing that the CIO shop has also done is they created an AI core. They've hired 30, 40 people who from private industry who are experts in the AI area. And one of those folks are embedded with us right now. So we're heavily relying on him and what he's doing. One thing, looking at supply chain, the procurement impacts of supply chain, looking at AI use cases within procurement. Again, it's great collaborative efforts we have within the department, working with our CIO colleagues on all things AI. So definitely very excited about this. I think this is a big deal. Don't get a lot of big changes in the procurement workspace over time, but I think this is one of those game-changing moments.
And let's talk briefly about the non-FAR-based authorities. Would OTA, for example, be part of that? Does DHS have OTA authority?
Good question. So when I mentioned the caps on what they're doing, one is the CSOP I mentioned. One is the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Transfer Technology program. We have those authorities. We did have OTA authority for prototyping and other things until the end of fiscal year 24. We have a lapse currently. We're working with our policy shops and with the Hill to get the authority back. So as we get it back, we'll make sure we let our program officers know. But currently, we did have a hopefully momentary lapse of our OTA authority. Again, I think it's one of those tools that our science and technology uses. Our office uses that extensively throughout the department. So it's definitely something we want to have within the department to use. But currently, we do not have OTA authority. We do have some legacy OTA authority for some of the airports and other things, but I'm specifically talking about for prototyping and those types of things.
It sounds as if for your office, the delay in final appropriations is less of an impact than it is for the components who might be launching new programs. For example, say there might be a new screening gambit that the TSA would do or something, but they can't do that under continuing resolution authority. They have to wait till the funds are there for new programs. Fair way to put it?
That is definitely a fair way to put it. Yeah. Again, this is it's become almost every single year.